No one is bigger than Newcastle United. Geordie Journos back again outside St James's Park, where it's all kicking off, Jordan.
It's been
it was last night.
Yeah, it was a dramatic Tuesday night with two statements.
Yes.
One from a player and one from the football club. Of course, Alexander Isak and Newcastle United, which we're going to get straight into. A war of words between the two.
Definitely, yeah.
Isak going first with his statement, Newcastle United firing back quite
very
sharply.
Yeah. Quickly and strongly. Fair play to Newcastle, and we'll get on to it all. But yeah, one thing, the Alexander Isak situation been rumbling on all summer. It's played out in the media, probably too much so really. Alexander Isak's been quiet through it all. But last night, through his official Instagram account, whether his words or not, through his official account, broke his silence with a strong statement in terms of what he was alleging Newcastle United to have done. And I'll read it out for those who haven't seen it. I'm sure you've seen it by now, but I will read it out. Alexander Isak on Tuesday night. I am proud to be recognised by my fellow professionals with a place in the PFA Premier League Team of the Season for 2024-25. So far, so good. First and foremost, I want to thank my teammates and everyone at Newcastle United who has supported me along the way. I am not at the ceremony tonight. With everything going on, it didn't feel right to be there. I think that's fair. I've kept quiet for a long time while others have spoken. That silence has allowed people to push their own version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind closed doors. Interesting. The reality is that promises were made and the club has known my position for a long time. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. That's where things are for me right now and why change is in the best interests of everyone, not just myself. Alexander Isak.
Yeah.
So, there's just two of us today. We will get Liam's thoughts, and I'm assuming he has quite a lot to say. So we'll put it in this video. But Jordan, what was your initial reaction to that statement when it landed last night?
I was surprised by the word, and I thought it was incredibly strong on Isak's behalf, essentially accusing the football club of breaking promises. My initial reaction was, throughout all this, he's maintained the silence. The fact that his ego couldn't help not being in this award ceremony where he feel like he had to release his that's what prompted Alexander Isak to release his statement. The fact that he wasn't at an award ceremony with all the top players.
Not for the first time this year either.
Yeah, but he's maintained the full silence throughout. He couldn't handle the fact that he wasn't at an award ceremony, standing next to all these top players in the Premier League. Out of all this, that's what provoked him to respond. Not the fact that Eddie Howe's been answering questions for the last month on him.
Yeah.
Essentially, for the first part, defending him and still sticking by him. He's always stuck by him throughout this process about giving him a way back. So Eddie Howe in this process showed ultimate respect, and it's just interesting that he's at the time of response he's decided to do it when he hasn't been in a role.
Not when he's missed a Premier League game.
Exactly. That was a tipping point for him. The fact that he wasn't stood next to Virgil van Dijk or Mohamed Salah, for example, and that's what irked me a little bit. But a really strong statement from him, accusing the club of a lot of things, broken promises. I think you said the same, Donna. I think it's very. I think the irony of talking about broken promises when he is 3 years into a 6-year contract and he's still got 3 years left in his contract, talking about broken promises, that's one thing. And even if there is broken promises between the football club, which will come out in Newcastle's statement, one person or three people or whatever, fans, manager, players, his teammates, they haven't broke promises to him.
No.
And that's the group of people he's shown the ultimate disrespect to. So that still, in my opinion, does not justify his actions and him essentially downing tools. So I was same as everyone else. I was surprised by it. It irked me a little bit as well because of I say all the reasons I've just mentioned, and I'm glad Newcastle United responded quickly.
Yes, I think it was interesting the timing of it, like you say, but it also came when there was a bit of rumbling on social media, mainly from like fan accounts, where, I haven't heard from Alexander Isak. How do we know he feels this way? And we've been reporting all summer he does feel this way. The media narrative has played out, and basically Alexander Isak's statement, I don't think changes an awful lot. All it does is confirm what's been reported all summer, really. So thanks Alexander Isak for doing that. And yeah, Newcastle's response, quick. We were in contact with the club not long after that statement from Alexander Isak dropped, saying, will Newcastle be replying, responding, and it was a quick and strong response from the club.
Yes, I'll read up now. So this was released, let's get the time of this, 11:30 last night. I think it was probably
working round the clock, Newcastle. Well done.
About probably about three bit hours after Isak went with his, so a very short response from Newcastle, and I thought it was a brilliant statement as well. So I'll read out you now. I'm sure you've already seen it, but here we go. We are disappointed to have been alerted to a social media post by Alexander Isak this evening. We are clear in response that Alex remains under contract and that no commitment has ever been made by a club official that Alex can leave the club this summer. We want to keep our best players, but we also understand players have their own wishes and we listen to their views. As explained to Alex and his representatives, we must always take into consideration the best interests of Newcastle United, the team and supporters in all decisions. And we have been clear that the conditions of the sale this summer have not transpired. And this is the big line for me. We do not foresee those conditions being met. This is a proud football club with proud traditions, and we strive to retain our family feel. Alex remains a part of this family, and will be welcomed back when he is ready to rejoin his teammates.
Come on. No one is bigger than Newcastle United. In your place, son. That's what that was.
I've had Liverpool fans on and said, it's a weak statement. I thought it was really pointed and really strong.
As strong as it could be.
Exactly. There's three key points in that statement, and it was the accusation that Alexander Isak made about broken promises. Newcastle have came out and said that they have never promised, no official at this football club has ever promised that he can leave this summer. So that was one point. The second point was the conditions of the sale, which Liverpool fans or any other fans are, well, you've almost admitted that he's available there. Well, right, okay, but the conditions isn't just the price, and realistically the price isn't 110 million that Liverpool offered.
Exactly.
And they haven't offered the right price, and that's just one side. The second side is Newcastle need to sign 2 strikers. That's another one. And then the last one as well, when they should have been stronger, and they should have told him there's no way back from this football club. He's acted appallingly. If Newcastle think they're going to keep a player, they're not going to say, no Alex, you're not welcome back in our family. If they think they're going to keep him after September 2nd, which is the direction it's heading, they're not going to put out a statement saying that he's not welcome back.
No. Because what does that do to his value as
exactly.
well?
It's
silly.
It's a complicated situation because a lot is on the player. In my opinion, I still think the best course of action is to sell him, but I also don't think Newcastle United should roll over.
Yeah.
If they sell Alexander Isak this summer without replacing whatever happens to the player, they're in a weak position, and they've tried. I mean, the striker search has been well documented, and they've tried and failed to sign replacements. I'm sorry, I was on a.
You're on a roll there. Do you want a word from Liam? We'll have a word from Liam now, then we'll have our ad break, and then me and Jordan will go into it a little bit more. So here's Liam Kennedy from sunny Greece.
Alright lads, not sure what you have said or are about to say on this video. As you can tell, I'm not obviously in Tyneside. I'm in rural Crete at the moment. But obviously you guys asked us, can you jump on and do a video just summarising what you feel, my thoughts and my feelings on what's gone on in the last 24 hours with regards to Alexander Isak. Of course, it's the biggest story in world football, so I've got to cut short a little bit, take a few minutes out of me and the kids' holiday out here in Crete to sort of say my feelings. I'll go back to the start before I address the actual statements, and going back to the start, in my opinion, a lot of this push this summer has never really, and I don't think this has been said enough, has never really referenced the widely held, quite common sense assumption that Alexander Isak wants to leave for ambition, that he wants to leave for trophies. Just seems like a given, because it's Liverpool interested, who will win more trophies, no doubt, than Newcastle United, you'd imagine, and have done a lot more so in their past. But there has never been that push. The briefings and the agent talk has always been about money and broken promises, which you mentioned very specifically in his statement. which allude to money, and it's always about money, which is why I think the greedy stuff was relevant. Actually, when the fans said it, it was really relevant, because it's never been about, I want to leave because, or his agent's never been pushing to people, I want to leave because I want to go and win more trophies. It's always been more about, I want to win because I want more money, because you promised us more money, and I feel a bit crap that you didn't give us more money. So I think people have got a right to feel aggrieved about that, which also brings us on to the point where I see a lot of people now talking about just give me a new contract, sweep it under the carpet. I don't know, I think you have to earn that, mate. You might think you've already earned it, but I think you've put yourself back to square one. I think you have to re-earn it. That'll be my thought process on the whole thing. But yeah, going on to the statements, I think this, firstly addressing his, I think it was all retrospective narrative building. I think it always has been from that perspective. Do I think there may have been promises broken? Yeah, I think there's probably some truth in that. Do I think, from what I've heard and people I speak to, do I think that he was given assurances by since departed officials? Yeah, I think that's probably what has happened. I think it's widely accepted that has happened. Do I think that then he should hold that against the football club now? I think he's got. That's why I think it's disingenuous. That I think he's holding that against somebody who promised him it. Look, let's be brutally honest. It's kind of in the Amanda Meardad camp. They've since left the football club. Then of course it's on Paul Mitchell as well, who's since left the football club, who decided to kind of renege on that. It had legitimacy in reneging on it because Newcastle United couldn't really afford it, and not just because of PSR, but because of the squad cost rules, etc. That Aston Villa now find themselves in issue with. I'm just walking around here. I'm like in a car park across from my hotel. I thought this would be the most peaceful place rather than having kids screaming at the pool, etc. Which they're totally entitled to do on their holidays. No, so I think his statement was all very. It didn't make sense. This narrative that I've told you for ages that I wanted out. Yes, you know, we all think he's been unhappy. I think that's a consensus. I think everyone accepts that. However, convincing on the phone, which Alanga said in his first interview, convincing him to sign for the football club doesn't really, if he values Alanga as a pal, doesn't really fit his narrative. I'm so unhappy here now. This is so broken. I don't want anything to do with yous anymore. Like a jilted teenager. Doesn't quite fit with, oh mate, come on, sign, it's a great football club. Doesn't really work, does it, mate? There's other ones being front and centre of the, hey Tino, front and centre of the kit launch. Doesn't really fit your narrative, mate. That you are definitely wanting to go and you definitely told them you could go this summer. Other ones, there's lots of other little bits and bobs where it all kind of doesn't fit the narrative as to what you've kind of try and retrospectively to paint to justify your wholly unacceptable actions. Broken promises are contracts that you signed, not words spoken over in passing over a table. At the end of the day, if it's not in your contract, mate, look at your agent as the problem, and look at Liverpool for not paying what Newcastle United said they would have wanted. Look, I think the statement from Newcastle United was spot on. Big credit to everybody out there who worked hard to put that in place. I know I was sort of speaking to people last night, and it sounded like it was a big operation. Let's put it that way. Last night to get that statement out, and all credit to those who did, and the words really rung true. And I'm sure the lads will discuss in a lot more detail than what I am now, what that statement said and what it really meant. But I thought it was as solid a statement as you could get out in terms of Newcastle United saying, look, they admitted they probably would have. They admit they really would have sold had the circumstances been correct. Which is in some ways a slight admission that things weren't right. Of course, that's fine. They know the player's unhappy. I think that's kind of underlines that. But they kind of said, look, they would have sold. But also underlined the fact that nobody, gentleman's agreement or not, agreed that Alexander Isak could go this summer. Doesn't say they didn't agree that there should have been a contract at some point, but nobody at the football club now at present has allowed Alexander Isak to leave. That's been very, very clear. And look, mate, you sign a contract and you don't put a release clause in your contract, and you've got a big problem. I think there's huge implications here. I think there's an unhappy player about to be reintegrated into a squad that it's going to be a bloody awkward process. He hid away from being at the awards ceremony last night, and I think it's going to be a big job to get him back. Look, I had conversations before I flew over here at the weekend, and the kind of consensus there was that it probably wasn't into this statement kind of totally flies in the face of what I'm going to say now, but it kind of said that the dialogue between Eddie Howe and Alexander Isak wasn't as broken as people might suggest. He's a unique character. I think anybody who's come across him will probably attest to that. I don't know how this plays out now. I suspect Liverpool probably won't be able to meet the conditions, and the biggest condition of all was Newcastle United signing replacements, and that's looking increasingly unlikely in the number that they need to sanction a sale of Alexander Isak. It doesn't say it won't happen, but it was a strong statement suggesting that this is probably over. And I think the power play that Alexander Isak maybe thought that was yesterday, he's probably sitting in his huffy little bedroom somewhere. I bet not be little, be lovely probably. Although I don't know, is he staying in a hotel these days, considering he got rid of the rental property he had? No idea. But no, I think the little strop, the little huff, for his sake, has got to come to an end. The tail between the legs ain't going to be fun for him, but it's something he's going to have to do if the club that he so wants can't put down the money. And also, Newcastle United can't get players into... Eddie Howe can't strengthen his team. You don't want to weaken your team, you want to strengthen it. And that would be not by replacing Alexander Isak in one, it would be in two. And getting players in to really strengthen the side. So look, it's been a strange summer. I still think there's possibly some more legs in this. But I think we all kind of now wait with bated breath to see how does Alexander Isak respond now. The best way for him to respond, if you're going to take any advice from a daft, overweight Geordie bloke standing in what looks like a ravine, if you're going to take any advice from him, it's just get your head down, son. Just get your head down. Just get your head down. Say sorry. Sorry seems to be the hardest word. A very famous singer said that once, and I think it is. Everybody in life has to learn how to say sorry and learn how to say sorry properly, and that's what Alexander Isak really should be getting advice on now, not stupid advice from his money-grabbing agent. Right, lads, I think I've said enough. I've probably doubled the length of this video, so I hope it's as sunny on Tyneside as what it is here. Lovely sun. I've got my vest on, man. Look, I'm proper holiday kitted out. Anyway, lads, right, I'll see you soon, and thanks everybody for watching.
So yeah, those were Liam's words from his holiday. Fair play to Liam.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
No.
So yeah, those were his thoughts. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe for all your Geordie Journos content and the latest on Alexander Isak, Newcastle United, the transfer window, everything like that. But for now, here's a word from our sponsors. Comply IT Limited. Worrying about disposing of your old IT equipment? Don't be. Comply IT handle everything. Secure collection, detailed tracking and certified data destruction. That's Comply IT Limited. Four Rivers Financial Planning offer holistic financial advice for all stages of life, ensuring your plan remains robust and adaptable in the ever-changing world we live in. So those were our words from our two sponsors, and yeah, Jordan, Alexander Isak situation.
Yeah.
We've gone around the houses all summer really with it all. We've done many videos on it, but it's always twists and turns, and you were on a roll before we got Liam on.
Let Liam have his say before. I'm starting to get myself a little bit carried away.
But yeah, the reality of the situation is Alexander Isak would not be allowed to leave the football club if suitable replacements were not signed. Newcastle United have started the season without an established striker, and with less than 2 weeks left of the transfer window, still have not signed a striker. They've lost Alexander Isak through his self-imposed exile, and they've lost Callum Wilson through just being released. So they don't have an established striker. So that's the situation.
Right, so what about Isak? Going back to Isak's statement, he's talking about promises and things like that, and he didn't directly mention it, but essentially leaving the football club and then promises leaving the football club. For me, if Newcastle United have got any idea that Alexander Isak wants to leave the football club this summer, they don't let Callum Wilson go. because then they've got to go and get a 2 striker still. But that for me, that's the one thing I'm struggling to get my head around is that apparently there's been this desire from Alexander Isak to leave, and the football club have known that. His actions over the last few months, up until pre-season, was not the actions of a man that wanted to leave the club.
Yeah, and actions speak louder than any statement, any words. You look, what's he doing? And Liam touched on it in his point, but yeah, why are you speaking to Anthony Elanga? Oh, love the fact you're coming.
Yeah.
Come to Newcastle United. We're mates. if I've got some great gig if I've got a gig that I'm really not happy with, I'm not coming to you. Oh, come over here, it's great.
Yeah, 100%.
Come over with me, and then as soon as you arrive, go, I'm away, mate. Sorry. Yeah, it just doesn't quite add up.
What's happened is the Liverpool have came in and his head's turned and he's just gone. Just gone for it. And then he's going, well, you said this and you said that.
Yeah.
It wasn't say that a few months ago.
He's gone.
A few months ago, you was happy to stay here.
Exactly, yeah.
Look, I don't begrudge a player wanting to join Liverpool. We've been over this. I'm not going to sit here and wax about them. I understand why a player would want to go there. But what I don't understand is a player down in tools and being this toxic.
Yeah.
He's a toxic presence. That statement last night was nasty. It was pointed.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Newcastle deserve big credit for responding quickly and not letting it spiral, if you like, or rest. And Newcastle have gone out there and said what no one has ever tell you can leave this football club.
Yeah.
And realistically, I think Newcastle, as they talk about the conditions of sale, obviously they've took, as I said in the statement, they've took the players' wishes in mind.
Yeah.
But what Newcastle have to do in that situation is they need to be in a position themselves where they can let the player go. And they're not in the position because they haven't got a striker to replace Callum Wilson. They've tried to sign strikers. Bear in mind, this is another point as well. If Isak Ekitike is signed here, Alexander Isak is probably a Liverpool player now.
Yeah.
What was the tactics behind that? Liverpool doing that? Are they that arrogant that they think they can get both? Look, they might end up with both, whether this summer or next. Alexander Isak will probably go to Liverpool at some point. Yeah. But this summer alone, Newcastle are not in a position to let him go. And the player needs to understand that. I understand from his perspective why he wants to go, but the football club are not in a position where they can, because they can't sign a forward to replace him. They can't go the season without signing a striker to replace Callum Wilson, and then essentially have Anthony Gordon as your backup because Willis Suda's not ready. Yeah. That makes no sense ahead of a Champions League qualification season. So that's what Alexander Isak understands. Yeah, we respect that you want to go, mate, but we can't because we're not in a position to let you go. And that's the player in many ways should respect that. Shouldn't be down in twos and not playing.
No, yeah. Devil's advocate argument, Alexander Isak will go, well, that's not my fault. Your transferring competence is sort of shackle me to the football club. But why didn't he tell people earlier then? Why did he wait the day he was back? This is the second week of pre-season, the first week he was back. Yeah. Why did he wait till then after Liverpool had signed Ekitike to go? I want to go. Yeah. I want to go now. The only thing that made things change was when Liverpool had sort of went public with the interest. Not an official approach to Newcastle, by the way, but went public with the interest.
Underhand stuff.
That's when the situation changed, and Isak went from a player who was training, who was sort of playing a role in pre-season, he was engaging with his teammates, to, nah, I'm not involved with you anymore. And that's just a disrespect to Eddie Howe, his teammates, the fans, everything that's been built the past 4 years to get Newcastle from no hope as in the Premier League when Eddie Howe first came in to competing in the Champions League, winning the Carabao Cup, things like that. Look, they're still some way off Liverpool, and like you say, you don't begrudge a player having ambition and going, look, I've gave you the 3 best years of my career really, and also given the club its best 2-3 years really as well. I'd want to go and win Champions Leagues. You're not in a position to do that at the moment, I don't think. So yeah, you don't begrudge the ambition, but the sort of shadiness of it all, and
don't go and strike one.
Yeah, and the talk of broken promises. Look, there's only one actually legally binding promise that's been broken, and that's Alexander Isak's contract, which requires him to, if Eddie Howe wants him to play and he's fit to play, two criteria that were met for Aston Villa in a competitive game, and he does not play, that is a breach, and come down on it.
Yeah.
I think that's the only actual promise that has been broken. I think Liam touched on it, but speaking about broken promises that stem back to Amanda Staveley Paul Mitchell, people who are no longer at the football club, it just feels like a bit revisionist, a bit petty, things like that. And look, if Newcastle's lack of action in addressing this makes them culpable to a degree, but look, Alexander Isak is still a well-paid player in the context of Newcastle United on a contract he signed 3 years ago, and he's signed that contract, he has to honour it.
Yeah, totally.
Ultimately, begrudgingly. And look, I personally think if you're valuing a player at £150 million, £130 million, you're telling him he's one of the best strikers in the world. We're saying the same, Eddie Howe's saying the same, his teammates are saying the same. Should he be paid a wage that reflects that? Yes. But if you're not, you don't go, nah, I'm not doing that job anymore, but I still expect to be paid very handsomely. Like, that's not the way to go about things, and that's what leaves a sour taste, and that's what has ruined Alexander Isak's legacy at Newcastle United. Look, a few months ago he was a legend, he was Alexander the Great. Now he's that one greedy. I won't say it.
He's took the hump. He's took the hump because Liverpool have came calling, and Newcastle United are not in a position where they can replace him. And I'm sorry, mate, that's football. That's football. They cannot replace you. If you really want to leave, you should have made it known. You should have made it known at the start of the summer. Not when you come back at Austria and Liverpool go, oh, well, actually we fancy taking you this summer. Right, that's it. I'm going to start down in tools. That's not how you do things.
Yeah.
I throughout all this process, nothing justifies his actions of not honouring his contract and not playing football for this football club, not training with his teammates. And that's, again, it's a total disrespect towards the people that have essentially helped make him.
Yeah.
He was, look, season before he came, he has 6 goals in La Liga. Look, he's always had a build. He's always been one of them players where you can look at and go, you know, he can be a top.
Everyone had eyes on him, but no one wanted to take the chance.
And Eddie Howe was the man that made him into the player he was. The supporters adored him and loved him. His teammates, Jacob Murphy, assist galore for him last year. And then to just throw in the towel and talk about broken promises and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, I'm not training with you. I think it's a total lack of disrespect. That's
total disrespect.
Sorry, yeah, total disrespect.
Lack of disrespect. He's done well, but
total lack of respect. Sorry.
Yes,
which I can't understand his actions. I find it. People talk about being badly advised, and I do think his agent is very much in his ear. And to be honest, I'd be surprised if Alexander Isak himself wrote that statement, every word of that statement. I think it came from another place. Agent badly advised, but this is a bit players going through with it, and honestly, I don't understand it.
I think it's shocked everyone. I think it shocked Newcastle and everyone at the club.
I said that I didn't expect Alexander Isak to be so volatile and toxic in the way that he wanted to leave the football club. I didn't think he was that type of character. But here we are, he's totally derailed it this summer, and it derailed the start of the season. They're not having a striker available, and it's ridiculous in that sense because they've literally got one on the books. But because he's taken the huff essentially, refusing to play, and now releasing statements. It's a hard one because, as I said before the break, I think the best course of action is to sell him. I think the best course of action is to sell him, but I also understand from Newcastle's perspective where they're looking at it and going, well, we can't because we don't have replacements in the squad, and then that goes for further picture. What happens if he continues to refuse to play and you want to have a striker anyway? Well, he's going to be you'll not be skint, but he's not be picking up his wages if he refuses to play.
Exactly.
So I think Newcastle are digging the heels, and I think they're banking on him coming back after the transfer window, which I still think he will if he stays. I still think there's a little bit. I still think there'll be a bit to come. I still think Liverpool will try the luck again at some point. I don't think this is the end of it. I don't think Newcastle's statement puts the end of it. I think maybe from their perspective, but they don't have to make any more statements. But I think Isak, given what he's done over the last couple of months of refusing to train, not going on a pre-season tour, then releasing that statement last night, I think he's shown that he's willing to do pretty much anything to try and get out of this club. But Newcastle have also shown by the statement last night that they're willing to stand firm. Yeah.
One thing we haven't completely touched on, but I think we both did on social media last night, it was a statement of desperation, wasn't it? Really?
Total desperation.
It was a roll of the dice in a bid to somehow force Newcastle's hand, and that's why Newcastle's statement was so strong. It's showing that you can't throw this club around, you can't take the mick. You've signed your contract, and why should a player who's been petulant, throwing his toys out the pram, get what he wants.
Exactly. So that's another thing as well. Actually, it's all outside noise, but you'll see it on Twitter. Say, well, no players are going to sign for Newcastle. This is the way you treat players when they want to leave. But no, actually, it's sending the precedent out to say if you want to leave, you act in the right way.
Yeah.
If you want to leave this football club, fair enough. But you still bloody train and play. Not can't throw the towel in, which Alexander Isak does. It's actually you cannot treat us like this, and I think that's a good precedent.
Yeah.
So you think there's players out there now who are going to go, oh well, I'm not going there because of the way they treat Isak. What about the way Isak's treating Newcastle? Don't treat your employers that way. We wouldn't treat our employers that way. It's not right.
Exactly.
It just infuriates me. Like it just I can't wait for the saga to be over because we've just lived it. You haven't lived it as long, Don, but like
No, I'm still fresh.
this is like a month of talking about. It's like every video of talking about Alexander Isak. Just fed up.
Yeah.
I want to talk about proper football. I don't want to talk about him.
Actual signings as well. But that's another thing. Newcastle's statement also made it clear that, look, Alexander Isak could have left as well. So you're talking about players being looking externally and going, oh, Newcastle broken promises, whatever. Newcastle looked fairly willing in their statement that Alexander Isak could have left this football club if conditions had been
and
met.
the conditions aren't right for them, so you can't let him go. Why would any football club, because a player wants to go, and you can't find a place, why would you let the player go? Why? Because literally Newcastle are they're going to be playing Champions League football in a month's time. It makes zero sense. Look, I know you've got an unhappy player there, and that's why I think it's best he goes. But if you're looking at the squad and you're going, well, if we get rid of him, we might sign a replacement for Callum Wilson, and we've only got 2 strikers, and they've got Anthony Gordon as a backup. That's not viable for an ambitious football club who's going to be playing on the biggest European stage this season. Yeah. It's like a football perspective where I don't see a scenario where Alexander Isak refuses to play. I don't think we'll see him until the transfer window closes. No. I think after that, I do think we're seeing a reintegration process.
It's hard. How does he come back from this?
I mean, he's burned bridges.
Definitely.
Burned bridges. But
Eddie Howe's played it masterfully.
He has.
Eddie Howe has never burnt that bridge and always left the door open. And Newcastle's statement does do that still, but he will have more than annoyed a lot of people at that football club. And look, I can see some of his teammates sympathising with the situation, some of his teammates completely disagreeing. One thing I did like was minutes after Isak's statement, Bruno comes out, just him, arms crossed, Newcastle captain, nice Instagram story. Our leader.
The football club have taken a stance and the outline in that statement where, yes, you can go, but we need to do X, Y, and Z, and haven't been able to do X, Y, and Z. So sorry, Alex, but you're staying. And whether you agree with that stance or not, that's a different argument. I do agree with the club's stance. As much as I do think he should go, I think they should sell him. I totally understand where the football club are coming from.
Yeah. This is a player still yet to hand in an official transfer.
Yeah, which is another thing as well.
Look, transfer requests can be seen in all different ways, and Alexander Isak has clearly requested to leave the club, but do it through the official means, submit an actual transfer request, and that hasn't happened, so
we'll see if he does it. I think he's in desperation mode now. His dream moves falling away from him.
It is.
As I say, I still wouldn't rule it out. I'm not sitting here and saying that Newcastle statement last night says you're definitely not going.
It's all a narrative. You don't always know exactly how it's going on behind the scenes. What information gets out there is often quite deliberate as well. So it's all a narrative, and it's interesting to see how it plays out. As we stand here right now, I'd say if you asked me, even after Aston Villa, I would have said probably 50-50 Alexander Isak stays and leaves. I think it's shifted quite significantly towards Alexander Isak stays.
No, I think so. Yeah.
This past
I agree with that. I just don't think it's over.
Yeah.
I do think there's more twists and turns in this saga.
Definitely.
And we'll be here to
every step of the way.
Begrudgingly be here to talk about it.
Well, we'll be at Eddie Howe's press conference on Friday ahead of the match against Liverpool.
And there'll be another press conference dominated by him. I mean, it's going to be a spicy one, by the way. I'm sorry jumping ahead here, but that game's going to be proper spicy. Like, do you not think it has, because of everything that's gone on, it's got like a bit of a derby feel to it?
It does, yeah.
I mean, you lose. It's not
Well,
the end of the
Liverpool
world.
Newcastle anyway it's always lauded as one of the best ever Premier League games. You go back to the 4-3s, even last season the 3-3, and then the Carabao Cup final, things like that. And look, Liverpool had Newcastle's number and still generally do have Newcastle's number at Anfield, but this summer is created, it will have a derby-like atmosphere, and I'm not trying to manufacture some sort of rivalry between Newcastle and Liverpool, but ultimately this game has a lot of history and it's just added to it, and I think it will have a very spicy atmosphere next Monday night.
Yeah, I think it was.
As always do under the lights at St James's Park.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back on Friday in the Newcastle United Media Centre, where we will have been speaking to Eddie Howe almost certainly about Alexander Isak and the upcoming game against Liverpool. So will he be available for that game? Probably not, but we will be. We'll be back at St James's Park for the first time in a competitive game this season. So we'll see you there. We'll see you at the Newcastle United Media Centre on Friday. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Liverpool fans, hello, thanks for watching. Let us know your opinions as well, because you always like to, even when we're asked for them or not. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next one.